Right, I think we're live. Can you hear me? Hey, everybody's back in. Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Am I coming through? Can you hear me okay? Sound okay? Echoes? Nice and clear, nice and loud? Coming through fine, fantastic. So, who have we got in tonight? We've got Bad Reaction, 80s Horror Fan, good evening. Charles Arnold, hi Charles, how you doing? Aletto. Yeah, we've got a few people in already, excellent stuff. Right, okay, so it's Friday the 14th of September, and it's been a pretty interesting week in PC hardware and gadgets anyway, all that kind of stuff. So what have we had this week? We've had the official unboxings today of the RTX graphics cards from Nvidia. So we've had some pretty uneventful unboxings from those from various people. Unfortunately, not from me because, well, I'm not on the Nvidia list for YouTubers that deserve an early edition of the graphics card, but never mind. Hopefully I'll get one for Christmas, you never know. What else have we had this week? We've had the new iPhone. What do you guys think about the new iPhone? And that's quite an interesting proposition. What do we really get for our money on that one? And it is a lot of money, right? You've seen the price of those things? Now, interestingly, well, I'll say interestingly, it might be interestingly, but if you look at the original release prices of the Apple iPhone, going back from like the 3, 3GS, all those kind of things, the amount of money that they've gone up by, step by step by step, is actually quite phenomenal. It's almost $1,000 extra from the first one to the latest one. That's on top of the normal price. RTX and iPhone, yawn, lol. It's totally yawn worthy. Unless you're a lottery winner or a very high-end YouTuber or product reviewer, the chances of you getting your hands on one of those things at the moment without having to sell a kidney, a lung, something like that, is ridiculous. Now, I've written down the prices because I knew I'd forget them. So, iPhone 6S released roughly 2014, 500 euros. Then the 7, 550 euros, 600 euros. The 7 Plus, a little bit later, nearly 700 euros. Then we got the 8, 700 plus. The 8 Plus, nearly 800 euros. Then the iPhone X, roughly 1,000 euros, $1,000, pounds, whatever. Now we've got the latest editions. We've got the XR, the XS, and the XS Max. So obviously they've dropped the numerals or the numbers altogether. So the XR we're looking at 850 euros. The XS we're looking at 1,150 euros, and the XS Max, for those of you who've got that kind of cheese, 1,250 euros. Now, if you look at the original iPhone 3 or the 3G or whatever, or even the original iPhone, you're looking around about $300, 300 euros. So almost $1,000 more for their flagship phone in a space of what, 10 years? So that's roughly $100 extra per year just to get the latest and greatest iPhone. I think it's mental, absolutely mental. You know me, this channel is all about value for money and getting what you can for your money. Now that to me just seems mental. $1,200 for a phone. What would you rather have? I'd rather have a PC or a laptop, or save half of that, buy a cheap laptop and take your wife or partner out for some food or go on holiday. Get some memories, rather than have a phone which is likely to get scratched, damaged or devalued or stolen off you when you're walking down the street. It's mad, absolutely mad. Let's see what you guys think about it. So not much interest on the iPhone. Now it's actually an interesting thing. The whole iPhone product launch and the way that YouTube works, for you guys, I don't know whether you've noticed it, but if you're into technology or gadgets, if you watch your videos and maybe you come up and it says suggested next video, so say for instance you're watching something by Jay's 2 Cents or Budget Builds Official, someone like that, then you're going to carry on seeing those videos. But as soon as you watch one of those YouTubers open or look at an iPhone or even mention iPhone in their tags, comments, or just in the dialogue and the conversation, from then on, all of your suggested videos will be iPhone, 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 iPhone. So you've gone from being a tech tuber or someone who likes technology to being, right, you need to be in front of Apple products. YouTube's algorithm at the moment is absolutely bizarre. I'm not too sure what they think they're doing or how they're doing it. I guess companies are paying them a lot of money to try and direct people to the latest and greatest technology because there's a lot of money to be made in it. But it just seems odd. I don't know, what do you guys feel about that? Have you been finding that you're watching a YouTube video and your related content, or the next video, is something completely obscure or not really what you want? Let me know in the comments. I'll be interested to hear. Got some funny comments in here. Now, there's one of our regular viewers, name of Tuscany, or I'm not sure what his original name is. He keeps on changing his name. It's really, really confusing, especially for an older person like myself. I can't keep track, so if you're going to change your name, put brackets at the end and put your old name, so at least I know who you are, okay? Tuscany, that is. C. McKnight has got a question apparently. How far up have I got to go? Wow, there's a lot of questions and comments here. So let's get back to, right, we've talked about iPhones briefly. I'm not going to go into any depth because most YouTubers have covered it to death. And to be honest with you, it's not really my thing. I don't really like iPhones in general. I appreciate what they do and they basically just work, apart from when the sound doesn't work, but that's another thing, which is actually really good for me because my no sounding calls on Apple iPhones, after today's or yesterday's product launch, my views have gone through the roof on that one, so I do thank them for that, if not anything else. But the what was I saying? Yeah, the iPhone. I'm in two minds. As a YouTuber who does how-to videos and all those helpful kind of things, I feel that I need to have an iPhone just so that I know what's happening with the whole iOS thing. I don't know what you guys think. I'm mostly, yeah, Kath does, she loves her iPhone. I'm mostly an Android man, purely because it's price differential. But now that the flagship Android devices are now coming up to iPhone level pricing, it's getting to the point where iPhone is actually becoming a really, really tempting proposition, especially for the slightly older models, which are holding their value, but also seem to last quite well. I'm very much looking at iPhone 7 Plus at the moment. I don't know whether that's a crazy thing to do or the right thing to do. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. But going back to the other thing, the NVIDIA GeForce launches, or R-Force, or whatever you want to call them. You call them whatever you want. They're too expensive for me to call them anything. I can't afford one. I'm not going to buy one. But one good thing coming out of this, the whole NVIDIA new graphics cards, is the older tier graphics cards are getting cheaper. Now, funnily enough, the observant amongst you that aren't completely drunk already will have noticed that there are two identical graphics cards here. Now these are the MSI Twin Frozen, whatever you want to call them, the GTX 660 Ti PE edition, which is the kind of the one you can overclock the hell out of. It's got loads of voltage regulation and what have you, excellent cooling, so you can overclock the SH1T out of them. Now this is where bargains start to be had in the market. So I'll say NVIDIA have released this new RTX range, and obviously they're going to be the cheaper GTX versions of the 2000 series as well, like the 2050, 2060, etc. But these graphics cards, this was the 660 Ti. When it first released, originally, you're looking around about £300, $300, thereabouts, €300. So when this was kind of NVIDIA's mid-range graphics card, which I guess is now taken place of by the the 1060 maybe. I suppose they're in a similar kind of hierarchy. But essentially, these cards were pretty expensive when they come out in comparison with the top end ones. Now these here, I picked these up off a Facebook group. Now these are, originally the guy wanted £65 for them. So that means, I don't know, 65 euros or about $80. Now I managed to talk to him and said, look, I'm on a bit of a budget, what can you do? So I ended up getting both of these cards for £55. So each one of these has cost me about £28, which is nothing in comparison with what modern day cards are costing. And even if you look up now for secondhand cards, if you try and get a secondhand or used 9 series or 10 series Nvidia card, if you're going for 10 series, you're going to be looking at a 1030 if you're lucky. If you're looking for 9 series, for £60, you may just about get a 960. 950 you should get pretty easily. But these things, despite how old they are, the 6 series, very, very powerful cards. Now I wanted to do a video on these older cards to see what value is left in them in this market now. Now, most of you who watch the channel or have seen my videos know that I'm quite a big fan of the just behind the bleeding curve, well, actually quite far behind the bleeding curve of technology. So my favorite card at the moment, value for money, bang for buck, whatever you want to call it, is the GTX 970, which, as you possibly can see, there's one in the rig behind me. There's actually one in that computer over there, because I've moved computers. So 970s have been the go-to card for most people, especially those who appreciate value. So I thought to myself, the 660 Ti, about roughly 2/3 to maybe 3/4 at a push the power of the 970, but two of them put together should be, in theory, a lot faster or as fast as a decent GTX 970. Now if you look at the price comparison, a decent GTX 970, £150. If you're lucky, 120. If you're unlucky, 170. So these for £55, if you've got the power to actually run them, seems like a really, really attractive proposition. Now I'm not going to completely spoil it and tell you what has happened. I've done some benchmarking today, which is why I was running a little bit late. But I've benchmarked it. So this one card on its own, 2 cards in SLI, and I've competed these against the 1050 Ti and also the 970. Now I think you'll find, price-wise, some actually really, really interesting results. And it goes to show that even older hardware, although some people turn their nose up at it because it's a few years behind the curve, and in fact these are actually quite a few years behind the curve, but really still great value for money. And if you look at the equivalent cards of these at the moment, the 660 Ti would have been approximately about the same as a Radeon 7870, maybe a 7850 in some games, maybe a 7970 in other games. But these actually have held up really, really well. And taken well, if you think about it, less than £30 for a 2GB graphics card, which can actually run a lot of the modern AAA games. I've managed to run Far Cry 5 on these. It runs Counter-Strike Source easily. These are great cards for the money. But again, there's going to be a full video on that coming up in the very near future. So make sure you click on the subscribe button and the chime icon so that when I release this, you get to actually see it. But actually really interesting cards. And surprisingly, actually look really nice. And when they're in SLI, they do look very nice. As you can probably, they don't actually look like 5-6-year-old cards. They look quite modern. So anyway, that's the story behind those. Let's see what you guys think. Kath says I've got to go to the top. I'm not too sure what I'm actually looking at.
Just go to the top and scroll.
Go to the top, right, okay, so scroll down. So what else have we got? So Seamanite bought a RX 580 4GB Sapphire Nitro. Now the Nitro card is actually a really nice card. If I'm right in thinking, the Nitro's actually got the removable fans so you can replace them or clean them easily. You might have to let me know in the comments about that. I'm pretty sure that is the deal though. So 166 for the 4GB. Now actually somebody on one of the Facebook groups that I'm on actually wanted a, they wanted to get rid of their card, but they wanted to replace it for a GTX 970, which is what I've got. So I messaged him and said, look, I'll be quite happy to do it. And he wanted to pay extra money to go from the 580 4GB to the 4GB 970. And I said, look, they're worth roughly about the same money, so we'll just do a straight swap. As soon as I told him they're roughly the same price, didn't hear anything from him, but he was quite happy to give me extra money and his graphics card previously. So not too sure what happened there. But the RX 580 is actually a great card, and it's a very odd one because it's similar to the 970 in a lot of ways, which is a kind of almost like a previous generation really. But in some applications and games, it actually really is a quick card. Bad reaction. The iPhone is typically 10% more expensive in the UK even after the VAT is added. Yeah, that is quite often the case. We do at the moment in the UK because of the whole Brexit thing, which I'm not going to go into because that's a real emotive subject, so I'm not going to give my opinion on that because enough people do already. But prices in the UK seem to be steadily rising, getting quite out of hand, especially over the last 6 to 12 months. Now, a lot of retailers and suppliers are blaming Brexit already. Now, the exchange rates haven't changed that drastically. The pound has weakened slightly, I'll give you that. So you can expect prices to go up because obviously the conversion factor. But even on just like weird goods, like if you go supermarket shopping, weird things like a packet of cereals is now kind of a third dearer than what it was. But the cereals are made in the UK. So there's no import or export. They're basically, it's done in the same place. And for something like cereal, you can't imagine the price of the actual base ingredients going up that much to necessitate that much of a rise in price, which is weird and really upsets me. Back to the comments. Welsh Tony. Welsh Tony is in. Good evening, Welsh Tony. What was he? Glenn A is ALX8ROR. Z, whatever. Good evening. That's a new face or a new name? Or is it just Tuscan who's changed his name again?
He subscribed this week.
Bad reaction is drunk or going to Tesco for some tinners. Older cards are not cheap enough. 580s are still, yeah, going back to that, the whole kind of, there was this big thing where people were expecting the previous range of graphics cards, especially from the AMD side, to drop in price, which it doesn't seem to have happened. And I think it's actually, if you look at the most modern graphics cards, how the improvement in technology and the actual performance you get per generation, the performance isn't jumping up that much. The thermals and the power requirements are dropping massively, but the actual performance, if you benchmark the top end cards against each other, or the one below, there isn't that much in it in a lot of cards, and you find that there's a massive range of cards which are all roughly the same performance for roughly around the same sort of price across loads of generations. That's going from like the 7000 series Radeons right through to the RX range. It's a really, really bizarre time in computing. Processors are getting much better, like the Ryzens are increasing the IPC, and performance per dollar is fantastic. But graphics cards seem to have gone a bit stale, so it'll be interesting to see what the new AMD stuff's gonna do very shortly. What would you guys say for a new build?
No, above that.
Oh, right, sorry.
21.
Older cards not cheap enough? No, I've done that.
No, Glenn.
Oh, what did Glenn say? Needs must.
No, done with it, I think.
Sorry, Kath's trying to lead me into what I've missed, but
It's one above the one you just read.
I'm struggling. Needs
Just
must.
picked up.
Pretty good for me. No, I'm missing that altogether.
Just picked up an EVGA.
Oh, where's that? Oh yeah, just picked up, Glenn says, I'm going to call you Glenn now because I'm not going to go through all those letters and numbers because that's just a pain in the ass. Just picked up an EVGA 780 SC for 85 quid delivered, going in the Kolink Stronghold I bought off the back of your review. Oh, excellent. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed the review, and in actual fact, it's probably a good idea that you bought that case for the 780 because that thing can be quite a heat generator. So you're going to need a lot of cooling in that case, and the Kolink actually, or Kolink, whatever you want to call it, actually cooling wise is a really, really good chassis. And actually I'm going to come back to that later because I have had a problem with that build in the Kolink case, which has got the Ryzen 2200G in it, but I'll get into that a little bit later because that is a really perplexing thing. And there may have been a chink in AMD's armor with that processor, but I'll talk to you more about that a little bit later on. What would you say for a new build? Ryzen 2600 6 core or 1700 8 core? Now, that depends what you're doing with it. The R7 1700 is a fantastic processor. That's what is actually in that machine behind, and that has been good for gaming. And in fact, excuse me, in fact, gaming wise, Far Cry 5 and doing the benchmarks today, I found that pretty much every game or every benchmark that I've run, granted they are GPU intensive, but you still need a processor to throw frames at it to be able to process them. Most of the great games, we haven't been going above maybe 25 to 30% CPU usage in pretty much most titles. And even in normal regular gaming, the only one which I find which actually even remotely taxes the R7 1700 is CSGO, which is a bit of a weird anomaly because of the engine it runs is quite CPU intensive, and GPU wise you can pretty much run that on a potato with as long as you've got a decent CPU. So I think the R7 1700 bang for buck wise is a great cheap CPU, and you can also overclock it to pretty much R1700X levels or sort of 3.4, 3.5 gigahertz quite easily. People have had them up as high as 3.7. You could push it further with better cooling and better better motherboard, that sort of thing. But generally, just to give it a little bit of a boost up, 3.3, 3.4, it run at that all day long, quite happily. See what else we got here. Oh, that's an interesting one. Aletta says, I've been watching the RAM prices dropping a little. I've got 16 gigs of G.Skill 3200 for $185. They were about $80 a few months ago. Yeah, but it's still insane pricing for memory. Do you not think? Not a massive time ago, maybe 2 years, we were buying 8 gigs of RAM for kind of 25, 30 pounds. I guess that equates to about $30, $35 at the time. I know that was DDR3 and it was before the kind of the floods and the factory catching on fire and all that kind of thing that happened. But to almost be, I can't even work out percentage wise, but it's ridiculously expensive. Like 8 gigs of real crappy RAM now, DDR4, you're lucky if you get it for £70. So that's at least double, if not getting on for triple the price. And that's for like kind of generic unknown stuff. You go for decent stuff, it's still really, really expensive. And I was surprised actually recently when they were investigated for the RAM price fixing, which clearly they've done. How they can say they haven't is, well, goes completely against the grain. But I was surprised that the RAM prices didn't just suddenly drop when that investigation came through. But we'll see. Hopefully it will drop down a lot more. I think that's what's stopping a lot of people upgrading their machines as well, because the price of RAM is just, it's just mad, absolutely mad. Yes, C McKnight says, when I checked this week in the UK, prices have increased. I think they have actually on the RAM and graphics cards for that matter. I think they're starting to go up. Yeah, more than doubled. Glenn says it does fit 140s at the top and front, and you have right, that goes back to the Kolink. So those of you that don't know what this conversation is about, Glenn's got the Kolink Stronghold, as I reviewed in a previous video, which I will link up here eventually. And his question was whether the 1400mm fans would fit in the case. It says it'll take 1200s, but 14s fit. From what I can tell from his feedback, they fit pretty well. Going back to the RAM, yeah, £95 for 8 gigs on Crucial Site. It is insane when the memory which is in SSDs and things like that, which is generally very, very fast RAM, and I know architecturally and kind of the way it's made is completely different, but for 256 gigs on a M.2's drive is like £40. Insane. If it was an 8 gig drive, then yeah, you can understand it, but that is a lot of money, a lot of difference in price. Welsh Tony, thank you for the mobile market for putting up RAM prices. Yeah, that was part of it. I think when there was the massive shortage after the flooding, and I think it was after the tsunami when they had problems with one of the factories got flooded or caught on fire or something bad. But then they blamed it on smartphones taking all the DDR RAM. But then I don't think smartphones take DDR4. I may be wrong on that, but I don't think they do. But I guess it goes back to the silicon. They're all fabricated from silicon, so eventually it all comes down to the same source. Actually, that's an interesting thing that Aletta said. RAM makers are making so much money, it's cheaper for them to keep the prices high and pay the fines. Yeah, I suppose it is actually. It's like, there was another company, oh, Microsoft. They, because of the whole kind of antitrust thing with the Microsoft Internet Explorer, they were getting fined every day in the EU after a certain point for not sort of unbundling Internet Explorer from Windows. And they were paying some ridiculous amount of money, but they were making so much money on selling Windows and advertising through Internet Explorer that they could fight it with just paying the fines. Oh, Welsh Tony says some phones do use DDR4. No, that's quite interesting. I wasn't sure. I guess there's there are a massive amount of mobile phones being made, so they are probably swallowing up a lot of the RAM. Although saying that, most phones generally tend to come with either 2 or 3 sometimes, but 4 gigabytes seems to be the kind of sweet spot for most phones these days, especially modern ones. So if you take into account 4 gigs of DDR4 is £40. Wonder if they do incorporate that into the price of the phone. Interesting. Okay, so, oh, I smacked my lips then, I mustn't do that. I had actually a comment from one of my viewers saying, I really like your videos and all that sort of stuff, but you do this lip smacking all the time and it really grates. So I apologised, and he said, no need to apologise, I should have told him to F off. So I did, and then he subscribed, so it all worked out well in the end. Right, so now I think it's probably a good time. We've got all the kind of intros out of the way. Now, I've had a weird thing with the Ryzen 2200G. Now, as some of you will know, I've done quite a few videos on the 2200G, and I've done a lot of systems and builds and swapped things around, etc. It's a very, very popular CPU, or APU, whichever you want to call it. Now, recently I've had, I gave Kath the computer that had the Ryzen in it, because we had a bit of a swap around, and this machine just seemed really, really unstable. We're getting random crashes. Thank you, Kath. Oh, sorry, I have to take a swig of liquid refreshment. Cheers, everybody. Lovely jubbly. Sorry, so going back to the thing. So Kath's got the Ryzen 2200G in her machine, no separate graphics card, just running from the onboard graphics, which obviously a lot of people are going to do, because that is generally why people are attracted to a CPU. Otherwise you'd go for the 1200 or maybe the 1300 or the 1300X for the similar sort of money. So the machine was becoming very unstable. Now initially I did have quite a strong overclock on it, which I then sort of gradually dialed back down, both on the GPU side and on the CPU side. But still random crashes with mostly video TDLR, or what was the other exception, Kath? Can you remember what the other one was? But it was generally some kind of graphical corruption, then followed by a blue screen of death, which again was normally, what was it? There's an ATI sys or something, wasn't there? A couple of them. But there's some things that all pointed towards ATI or AMD. So being that the system was basically an AMD motherboard with an AMD processor, it didn't really narrow things down. So you'd figure it would be drivers or something like that. So wipe the system, put fresh drivers on, installed the proper APU drivers from AMD's site, proper chipset drivers from both MSI's site and also from AMD's site, just to be on the safe side. And it got better for a couple of weeks, but then, or a couple of days rather. But then Kath's been playing 2 Point Hospital as of I've recently, which is a little bit more strenuous on the system. So weirdly, you'd be playing the game and all of a sudden you get this very, very odd graphical corruption where it almost looked like back in the day when you'd have your aerial unplugged and you'd get that sort of static on the screen.
Or Premiere.
And also, yeah, in Adobe Premiere, loads of problems in that where the graphics would corrupt and then it would just freeze. So I didn't really think there was a problem, so we swapped out RAM, done reinstalls, new drivers, etc, etc. And every time we did something, it would be okay for a day or two or an hour or two, but then the problems would persist and get worse. So I thought recently, right, enough's enough, we're gonna have to do something about it. I can't afford to take Kath's computer off her at the moment to do some tweaks and changes, maybe I'll do that next week. So we had to have a quick temporary fix. So I put in a Radeon 7850, the 2 gig one, which I've possibly seen or shown you in previous videos, thinking I'll put that in and just to see if it makes a difference. Now from the moment we put that in, it installed its own drivers from Windows Update, and from that time on, it has been 100% completely stable. No freezing, no errors, and running much, much better. So that leads me to think that there's some inherent fault either with the drivers for the APU, for the Ryzen 2200G, and the 2400G I guess for that matter, or there is a fault with the CPU or APU itself. But it's a very difficult thing to diagnose, so we're going to have to strip that down and do some proper testing, do a completely fresh install, run the drivers on there, maybe do some mem tests and that kind of thing. But it's a really odd problem, and if you do a Google search for it or YouTube search for it, Ryzen 2200G fail or crash or video TDL or blue screen of death, there are masses and masses of videos and people asking exactly the same question. So I don't know whether then AMD bringing out the Ryzen and this great new APU, whether or not there is actually going to be a lot of people who have bought it as early adopters with the initial silicon, whether or not there is going to be an ongoing problem with it and whether they are going to have an actual failure rate on those chips, which would be interesting to see. I'm hoping not, because it's a fantastic idea, and I think if they get a lot of problems with it, it really is going to hamper them increasing the output of the cores in the APU and then making it better and better as the years or months go on. But let me know in the comments, what do you think about the Ryzen APUs? Is it a good idea putting that much power inside one piece of silicon, or are you safer having a separate CPU and GPU as we always traditionally have? So let me know in the comments. I'm going to have another swig of beer. Kath says I got to go to Welsh Tony. So should I tell people to F off? Is that what you're saying? Yes, definitely. If anyone dismisses you or disses you, as the cool kids say, best thing to do is tell them to F off. But I've always found, I don't know whether it's, actually, let me swig this first. Cheers everybody. Yeah, I've always found that if anyone has been dismissive or pissed me off or said something horrible or sort of said that my style is shit or anything like that, basically I just reply to them as happily as I possibly can. So it's like, I'm really sorry. What did you find offensive in my videos, or why do you think I'm a dick? And normally if you ask that, they normally come back with that kind of, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you, but if you could stop doing this or stop doing that, it would be great. Which is a lot easier way, and you see all the time on internet groups, on Facebook, on YouTube, you see one person do a comment and then it just escalates because someone else has got their kind of like on, and they're like, well, I'm not having that, they can't say that to me, but they can. The fact of life is they can say what they like, it's their opinion, like it or lump it, where I choose to like it, and more times than not, it turns them around and they become a subscriber. And some of them actually have become quite vocal subscribers and have actually posted lots of comments and actually suggestions. So if you get a negative comment or a bad comment, take it as a positive, try and learn from it, and then try and up your game. I've been trying to, don't know whether it's working, but hey, we'll see. Bad reaction. I hope you didn't have a bad reaction to the beer. Oh, scroll too far. Bad reaction. I only discovered Mike when I watched his rather good Wiley Fox review. Ah! I replied to you earlier on, I think.
And he's replied to you since.
Yeah, about the updates. Hopefully, now for those people that are watching, obviously we talk about technology and gadgets, but in the UK there's a brand called Wiley Fox. Now I think they are available worldwide via Amazon, but they're mostly UK based as far as I can tell. Now basically they get a Chinese phone, design it, tweak it, and put a little bit of a bit of English polish to it, and they actually do produce really nice phones. When they first started making phones, they were quite a big thing, like OnePlus, but they seem to have kind of gone off the radar a little bit of recent. I'm not sure why that is, but maybe we'll find out.
He's replied to your comment saying on Reddit they're doing updates.
Oh, Kath's just informed me what your reply was on Reddit or whatever. But so they are getting updates, which is good, because Wiley Fox actually ticked a lot of boxes. Very cheap, lots of decent spec, upgradable and regular updates, which is not something you often see with these kind of lower range phones. But yeah, they do seem to be getting regular updates, which is more than I can say for my Huawei phone, which will soon, hopefully, maybe, possibly, being replaced for a, I can't say it, an iPhone. There, I said it. Do I really want to give up my Android for an iPhone? Oh, you can't see it. Kath's putting her iPhone in the camera. Oh, you can see it, yeah. Aletta, I had some problems with my laptop after the last Windows 10 update. I rolled it back and things are fine. Now actually that is an interesting point actually. It could well be something to do with the Windows update, which has caused havoc with the AMD APU. But I think what I will do is, because of the system has shown some instability, or at least temporarily, what I will do is I'll decommission that PC from Kath, I'll give her an upgrade, and I'll take that one to one side, I'll put it either in the front room or on the test bench and see actually if we can work out exactly what has been going on with that, because it'll be helpful for me to know what has gone wrong. And also there's a lot of other people in the same boat, so it'd be good to get a definitive answer, say, right, this is the driver or this is the setting that is causing your problems.
Bad reaction wants to know, do you stand up to play games?
Mike, do you stand up to play games? Yes, and I also stand up to piss.
Mine.
Sorry. I do stand up and play when I'm benchmarking on here, and I do actually play quite a lot of Counter-Strike CSGO. And I do quite often stand there for too long until I do actually need to go to the toilet, and I'm there crossing my legs and all sorts. But yeah, we've got a lot of computers in the house, so it's kind of without giving you a tour of the house, but there's a computer over there which is Kath's, which was mine, which we've swapped desks today because it's easier for me to stream stuff. So my computer is over there, so I game sat down at my desk there. I also game there. Upstairs in our bedroom is my little mini ITX box, connected up to the 42-inch TV, which Kath's actually got a little chair that she uses for doing her hair and putting some slap on, and I sit at the desk there playing games, CSGO mostly, and we've got a PC in the front room, which is the Ryzen 1200 with the 1050 Ti in the Rio Toro case, which I'll link up there so you can see what that was like. And that is another gaming PC. So there's gaming PCs everywhere, so I can sit down or I can stand up depending on what my mood is. Hopefully that answers your question. Oh, have I? Oh, hang on, I've missed a question here. Be right back, gonna grab a coffee. Yeah, I should have had a coffee actually. Beer is probably a bad idea. Let's say, I don't need to tell people to F off. I carry a Luger 44 Magnum. It's got a lot of stopping power. Walk softly, carry a BFG. Yeah, that'll do it.
Tuscany wants to know why there's a Fallout 4 box right now.
Ah, why is there a Fallout 4 box? There's no actual reason for it. The only reason is because my PC and Kath's PC, well, we've swapped positions, but we kept the desks because they're a pain in the butt to move, because they're these big IKEA desks, which I might move the camera around and show you, but I might not actually, because that's a pain. So we had to take basically everything of our desks off. You know, like when you're at school, when you had to move desks because you were naughty, and the teacher would you just sit at the front? No? Just me? Okay, well basically, if you're naughty at school, you had to move your desk to the front so the teacher would keep an eye on your worthless ass. So you get all your books and stuff and your pencil sharpeners and all that sort of stuff, and you'd move it all to the front of the desk, the front of the class, which is what me and Kath have done today. So the Fallout 4 and the Retro Olympic Edition Coca-Cola, still in the box, from 2012, from the Olympics. It's my collector's piece. That was on the desk, and it was holding up Fallout 4. Which, because there's going to be Fallout 76 out shortly, having that, I thought, actually I'll leave it there. It's a weird thing, because it's on a DVD, but I actually don't have anything in here with a DVD player in it, or a DVD drive in it for that matter. The only thing I've got a DVD drive in is that TV. Sorry, just giggling away. Is Kath drinking too? Yes. Oh, hang on. Wiley Fox, Welsh Tony's. Having a lovely reaction to beer. Well, I'm not quite yet at the moment. £66 for the Wiley Fox is actually a really good value for money. If you think if you're going to go for a iPhone 7 Plus, nearly €700, you could buy 10 Wiley Foxes. And have some change to buy some extra beer. Epic Gamer 9 million. Is that a 9 million? No, Epic Gamer 900,000. I know you're Tuscany. I was talking about you at the start about changing your bloody name all the time. Stop it. It's confusing to older folk like me and Kath.
Unselfishly.
We have actually got a combined age of nearly 90. That's terrifying.
Thanks.
Iron Brew. Oh, we got some Iron Brew. That's not Iron Brew, it looks like Iron Brew, but we have got some Iron Brew in the fridge because George bought it when we went shopping today. I said to him, why are you having that? And he's like, because I like sweaty socks. Which took me a little while to work out. Which, if you work it out, put it in the comments. What's that? Oh, did you know that they still export the original overseas? I guess that's Iron Brew they're referring to. No.
Glenn used to get pushed up to the front.
Glenn used to get pushed up to the front? Oh, I did all the time. It was a real pain.
He used to push the teacher's desk drawers open with his feet.
Yeah, I do. I used to push the teacher's desk drawer open with my feet because, like, you had the teacher's desk and then you have your like double desk with the lift up lids and the little ink wells. Now that's showing my age there. This is kind of 1983, 82, that kind of era. And yeah, you'd get so close to the teacher's desk eventually, you'd literally, your desk would end, their desk would start. So there was no messing around to be had. But every now and then, you could get your toe and you could just make their drawer open a little bit. And every now and then, they'd slam it shut. But they wouldn't ever say anything to you, but they just keep on doing it. So that was good. I used to enjoy doing that. Bars are knobs. Oh yeah. Welsh Tony. Tuscany, I'm Welsh Tony. You're about the same age as me, Mike. Well, I am actually, how old am I, Kath? I was born in 1974, so it's currently 2018, so that makes me 44. 44 years young. If I had more hair, you'd think I was a lot younger, right? Tuscany is only 14. Well, I'm only 30 years older than you. 37. It doesn't stop growing. Right, now what else? There was something else really that I wanted to, oh yeah, I know what I was going to talk about. Okay, so you may have seen, or may have seen me mention my mini ITX build. Now this is a really amazing looking PC, which is about the same size as a cable TV box, or like, I don't know, some kind of skybox, a TiVo box, that kind of thing. It's literally the same size as a mini ITX motherboard, and it's about that high. Now inside it is a mini ITX motherboard with a AM1 processor. Now if you're not sure, doesn't matter if you're not sure. If you've never seen the AM1 processors before, basically they were really cut down Athlons from AMD. So inside this box is a quad core 2 GHz AMD chip with built-in Radeon 3 graphics, which is horrendous. But my idea was to get that to play Counter-Strike on my TV in the bedroom, and maybe stream some movies, that kind of thing. Now this week I've been playing with it. I bought myself some cheap DDR3 RAM, which actually wasn't cheap. It was, how much was it, Kath? £20, isn't it? Yeah, £20 for 8 gigs, and that's 2 4 gig sticks. It's Corsair, they're value RAM, so it's nothing exciting, but it works. So we put it in there, and I've actually managed to get Counter-Strike CSGO on very low settings to run at almost 60 frames per second on this tiny little box with a little tiny overclock, which I'm tempted to do a video on. I don't know whether people would be interested, because it is such a kind of niche product. It's a really tiny TV box with a lovely little Arctic cooling Alpine M1, I think it's called. Basically this tiny little cooler, which is absolutely silent, so the whole PC, the only thing you can hear is the hard disk drive, which is in there, unfortunately, not an SSD. All you can hear is the laptop hard drive spinning every now and then. That's how quiet it is. So for a bedroom or for media PC or anything like that, absolutely perfect. It is absolutely brilliant. Yeah, so if you're, Kath just said, if you're into Netflix and chill, it's perfect. So you don't have that distracting noise of any hard drives or fans whirring away when you're getting your groove on. I did actually just say that, didn't I? I do apologise. It's been a long day. I've been moving all day. Oh, I haven't got many steps today. So yeah, basically, are you guys interested in seeing a little video review and gaming review of my mini ITX build at some point in the very near future? Now, I still haven't managed to get the HDMI port to work. It works if I boot up the machine with a VGA connection and then swap to HDMI, works fine. So there's something in it which will not allow it to boot when HDMI is connected. Now I'm pretty confident it's going to be the HDCP, which is built into modern graphics cards, and because the TV doesn't report back its HDCP compatibility or availability, it just says no, you can't watch stuff on here, and just stops booting, which seems a little bit draconian, but I guess that is the way forward. So I've been using it on VGA and it's been working fine, and it's actually a lovely little PC, and I've kind of fallen in love with it a little bit, considering it only cost me a very small amount of money, and how lovely it looks. It is a great little box, and I'm tempted to get another one, but I'd see if there's any interest in there from you guys, and if there is, maybe I'll do another video, or maybe I will buy another machine. Bad reaction, getting jiggy with it.
Go back up to
Cap says I got to go back up. 44 is young, Mike. I was born before Hawaii was born before Hawaii was a state. Well, this thing is a bloody state. Non-updating sack of shite. So when was Hawaii? I said it right then. When did that become a state?
What was their flag like before?
And what was their flag like before? Or is it still the same?
Because they are in stars every state.
Yeah, did they add a star to the American flag when it became a state? I'm intrigued.
What's that been done?
Probably showing my ignorance there. Older folks are awesome. Aletta, put it on YouTube and I'll watch it. Okay. Mike, check out XDA for custom ROMs and try on your Huawei. Now, that is actually a very, very, very good idea. Now, I have actually gone to XDA. Now, I am a relatively computer literate person, believe it or not, despite my apparent lack of ability and comments I get. But I've always found it really difficult to remove things like bootloaders and boot ROMs and all that kind of stuff. I just want a phone that I can update. It isn't too much to ask, surely. This is like 2018. This was Huawei's kind of almost flagship phone. It should be getting updates regularly, surely. I know it's like I'm being a bit of a dick, but surely it's in the manufacturer's interest to keep the customers up to date so they don't get viruses and nasty stuff on their phones and what have you, so that they don't slow down or get hacked or lose their money. Am I being unreasonable? Yeah, should be getting 2 years of updates. Yes.
Became a state 59. He was born in 58.
1959. I've always fancied going to Huawei. Oh, I'm struggling with Huawei.
Hawaii.
That American state it now is. Hawaii. There, I did it.
Back up a bit. Seema Knight asked, what do you think of the new Athlon processors?
What do I think of the new Athlon processors that were announced? Are you referring to the 220G or GE? Is that the ones? The kind of the low wattage ones? Because I think really effectively, I don't know better, and I'm not 100% sure on this, but I'm pretty sure that those Athlons are Ryzen 2200Gs and 2400Gs, which have failed miserably, and they've lopped off parts of the silicon. They've just fused it off. So I would be not entirely surprised if some of those Athlon 220Gs or whatever they are, those Athlons that have been released, I would be very surprised if they didn't actually allow core unlocking like they did with the early Athlons, the X3s and the X4s, where some people could get an X2 and actually unlock it to an X4, like the 550s. The Athlon 2 550 used to unlock to a 4-core quite easily on certain motherboards. Yeah, the 230 and the 240, yeah. I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100%, don't quote me to this because it's probably complete wrong, but I would imagine they're Ryzens which have failed the binning process, so they just got so many which have failed, which they thought, well, we're not going to throw them away, what can we do? So they chopped off little bits and pieces here and there, because I think they've only got 3 Vega cores, if I'm right in thinking, which, if my assumptions with the problems I've been getting with the Vega 8 cores and the Vega 11 cores, in my mind, if they're having problems with their manufacturing process, they'd lop off a few of those cores and release them as a lower end chip, which makes massive sense to them financially and also gives customers something else to buy. But pricing wise, they need to be a lot cheaper to make them viable, I think. Makes me want to watch Hawaii 5.0. Book 'em, Dano.
You said it okay.
I said it okay. It's all right if I say something else with it. So if I say the word on its own, I struggle. Aleto's in Ohio, which is the armpit of the US. Well, at least you're not living in the groin. Harry, Mike, do PC CPU benchmarking sites work the same with laptop CPUs? I'm guessing so. Yes, they do. If you use User Benchmark, which is a really good one, it doesn't matter what your kit is, it will benchmark it and give you the appropriate results for the kit that you've got based against other people's kit of the same and higher and lower. You might be able to passively cool the Athlons. Now actually the current range of AM4 chips, any of them up to, I think, 65 watts, I could be wrong, it might be 45 or 47. But Arctic Cooling, who I do keep a close eye on because they do some really good stuff, they have actually got an AM4 completely, what's the word, passive cooler. So no fan on it whatsoever, just basically a chunk of metal. And it's also been painted black, which I don't know whether it was one of my ideas that I gave them a while back about painting the actual fins black, or the radiators, to make it look cool. But yeah, you can actually get passive coolers for Athlons already, which I was quite surprised at. A letter. I've been thinking of getting a phone. Are there any that only makes phone calls? I don't need any of the other stuff. Yeah. Yes, there are ones that just make calls. If you want something which is relatively rugged, the Caterpillar brand, or Cat, they do a slightly ruggedized phone, which is limited on features, basically just does calls and texts, and it's got like a built-in MP3 player. They're pretty good, very cheap as well. I'm not sure if they do them over in your neck of the woods. If I think of it, I'll try and find you a link for Amazon and show you which one it is, but it's pretty cool. Or there is the Nokia, the new Nokias which have been kind of re-released. They've done the 3310, which is basically a feature phone. So it's not a smartphone, but it has got stuff on it that allows you to access the internet if you wanted to, albeit in a very, very bad resolution. So I would assume that it's designed for making calls and listening to MP3s if you're lucky. So that's a good one. Nokia 3310. Anyone have experience of the Motorola E? No, but I've got a Motorola G, the G4, 4th gen, which was okay, but I used to have massive problems with no sounding calls. Massive problems. Now, some of you may have noticed the mark on my arm. I'm going to bore you to death now, but that is a spider bite. Now, over in the UK, we don't really get spiders as much, but I believe, I'm not sure because I didn't see it, but I believe that is a bite from the false widow spider, which we have got over here at the moment. Now, it was getting a bit colder, so I grabbed my coat. Now, we do get spiders around the area where my coats are. My theory is that the spider was in my coat, and I had my coat on. We went out for a meal for Angel's boyfriend's birthday, Mike Gamlin, if he's on here tonight. But Michael Gamlin, we went out for his birthday, went out for a meal, and I went to take my coat off and hang it up in the restaurant. And as I did, I felt something on my arm, and I didn't pay much attention because I'd had a couple of beers. So I sat down at the table, and just my arm started like swelling real bad, and it actually was massive. But now it's gone a bit kind of septic and gross. So that's been a week so far, and it hasn't healed up. So it's quite deep as well. There's like a big hole in my arm. But it's alright, I might use it to store stuff in. Bit of cooling paste, so I can just apply it when I need it. No comments on that. Unsurprisingly. Sorry, I know it's supposed to be a tech channel, but I did get bitten by a spider. And I've never been stung by a bee or a wasp, so that's the closest I've come to having a kind of a proper injury. Okay, so coming up next week, next week going into the week after, reviews and stuff we'll be doing. So luckily Kath's made a list for me so I can remember them. So we are revisiting the Brita filter jug. The Brita Morella was one of the videos I did when I first started the channel, and if you watch it, it's awful. It is genuinely one of the most awful things I've ever seen. It's worth watching to see how crap it really is. I absolutely sucked. It was horrendous. I had this really bad cold which lasted for weeks. I struggled on like a real trooper, and bizarrely, it's one of the videos which still gets a couple of hundred views every day still. I don't know why, just people seem to like that video or search for that video. So I went to our local supermarket, the Co-op, and they actually had them reduced from £20 to £5 for a water filter, which seemed like insane. So I couldn't not buy one, so I bought two. And I'll be remaking the video, so that'll be interesting to see how my videos have improved over a year and a half. or whether or not the original one was better, but we'll see. So another thing we're doing, Bluetooth speakers, because it's coming up to Christmas and people are going to start buying little Christmas stocking fillers and things like that. And what was that, Kath? Oh right, yeah. Yeah, so Christmas gifts come in, and you also got Thanksgiving for the American people, and whatever else people watch or enjoy. Hanukkah, I guess, is that a thing? Showing my ignorance again, but yeah, basically the winter festivities. So I'm doing a couple of Bluetooth speakers, a more budget orientated one and a slightly higher end one. So a bit of a mix and match there. That is from a company called Neo. I can't remember what the company's called now, but they looked really good. So I thought, well, we'll get the cheap one and we'll get the dearer one and we'll see what like. I think it's Neo Core. Kath's actually charging them up at the moment, ready for testing. So what are they called, Kath? So here we are. We have got the Neo Core. Is it Neo Core? Yeah, Neo Core A1 wireless speaker. So it's a Bluetooth speaker with all the usual sort of features on there, but it's quite a rugged one, and it's not like your normal kind of cheapy, horrible, those little round ones that seem to be everywhere at one point. But it's IPX waterproof. Basically, it's a really nice looking little Bluetooth speaker. Hands-free calling, all that kind of usual stuff. And it's got nice features like automatic power off and all that kind of stuff, which is quite nice, because if you go out with your phone, the last thing you want to be doing is walking back and pressing the off button on your Bluetooth device. You just want it to shut off, don't you? So anyway, we'll be having a look at that. So that's the Neo Core Wave A1. And also we've got this one, which is the Neo Core Wave A3.60. Now that is a much better option for the kind of around the house and sort of things like that. Two 10-watt speakers built in and a passive subwoofer. Takes SD cards, so you can play music from an SD card. Auxiliary inputs, all the kind of usual stuff. So we'll be looking at both of those over the coming couple of days. Any giveaways? Oh, hello, Angel. Evening. Angel, hello Dad from Angel, Dan, Michael and Maddie. Hello Angel and your friends. I don't know Maddie, I don't think, or Dan. Michael I know quite well. But hey, thanks for watching. Hope you're enjoying it, and I better hide these because these are Angel's Christmas presents right here. Anyway, so moving on, what else are we looking at? So we've got the InWin 101C, which I've been building. I wanted to do a video on that, the InWin 101C case, but I didn't want to do it straight away because it's not a budget case. It's budget for InWin, but it's not budget for most people. So you'd have to spend quite a few pounds on it, or quite a few dollars on it. So I didn't want to do a review based on a day or 2 days of usage. I wanted to let it bed in for a week or two, see what it's like, find out the quirks, see what works, see what doesn't, and get a proper in-depth feel of what the case is actually like to use on a daily basis. So that is going to be coming up soon, the 101C, which, spoiler alert, is a really nice case. Next one is going to be the Rio Toro Prism Ghostwriter keyboard, which is what I've been using up here. Again, that is exactly the same deal. I've got the Rio Toro Aurochs mouse, and I've got the Ghostwriter mechanical keyboard. Now the keyboard is actually amazing. Now if you look at the, I think it's a Corsair, I'm not sure, there's one of the Corsair keyboards, I think it's the K55, but if you look at the two, you can see basically what Rio Toro, from what I can gather, some of the people that worked at Corsair and a couple of the kind of Californian companies jumped ship and set up their own company because they weren't quite happy with the way things are going. So you can see a lot of their design elements have been brought through to this keyboard. Now, if I can angle it down without destroying it and dropping fallout. fallout fell out. So if you guys can see that, so just up here, there is a volume wheel, which those of you that have seen Corsair's mechanical keyboards will recognize that immediately, and the media control buttons. Now let's just change. I like that. I don't know if you can see that very well because it's really dark, really
Up. No, I'm good at that.
Kath's giving me directions here. It's not surprisingly, because there's like ridiculously bright lights in here, you can't see it. But there's an amazing kind of raindrop effect, which will come through now.
You can see it now.
And the raindrop effect on this keyboard is really, really nice. I really like it. Kind of sploshes of colour randomly everywhere. It's really good. But I'll be doing a full review on that coming up soon. But again, I didn't want to just do a review, unbox it and go, yeah, this is great. It's got loads of USB ports and it's got mechanical key switches and it's Cherry MX browns and all that kind of stuff, and it's cheap. I wanted to actually use it and make sure that it is actually a good thing to want, or for you to use. Because telling you to buy something because it's a good idea for a video isn't a good thing for me. If that makes any sense. Basically, I don't want to tell you guys that something's good when it's rubbish. And actually what I'm going to do is, for all subscribers, if I do review anything, which I get, and I do think is actually rubbish after my initial kind of unboxing and initial use, I will tell you, I'm not going to be kind of swayed by anybody or any companies or anything like that. If something's crap, I'm going to tell you it's crap. You may or may not like it, but I'm going to tell you it's crap. Okay, so just putting that out there. Let's have a look at some of these comments a minute. Bad reaction. What camera do you use for your videos, Mike? It is the Panasonic G7, which actually I really do love. It is a great camera. I keep on looking at other cameras like the Sony AX33, which is basically a camcorder, but it's got a really, really nice kind of setup to it, and it's a lot easier for streaming purposes. And it's got the Boss image stabilization. So basically the lens is on a gimbal. So the image stabilization is fantastic. It's the best I've ever seen on a camera, but it's very expensive. They did have one on special offer on Amazon recently for like half the price, so it was £400 rather than £800 for a 4K Handycam. But I was thinking, you can't change the lens. If the batteries go, you're knackered. Is it a good idea? The Lumix G7 is a 4K camera. Currently you're watching this in 1080p because that is the best I can stream at with our kind of internet setup. But I think it looks all right. Now, I don't know what you guys think. I think it's pretty sharp. Now, I've only got kind of relatively basic light in here. I've got basically a desk lamp and two softbox, well, one softbox because that one's not even turned on. But low light has always been a problem for Lumix cameras, especially with the kind of the focal, the aperture size or whatever they call it. So it's not a great lens on there. It's basically the kit lens. But for me, it works okay. I would have liked to have a wider lens. At the moment, this is the widest possible shot I can get with a camera, and it is probably, what, 4 foot away from me. So, yeah, it's okay. It's a good camera, and for what I paid for it, about, what did I pay for it, Kath? I think it's about 500 when I bought it, because it had the 12 to 60 lens rather than the 1440. I paid a little bit more for it because to get a slightly wider shot. But it's done me really well, and from the videos I've made and subscribers and people asking questions about it, it's pretty much paid for itself, so it's not a big one. Ninja 47's in the house. Bonjour Ninja, and also Paul Donaldson. Late to the party as always. It is fashionable to be late to a party, you do realise that. Aletta's asked a question, but I'm going to have to scroll back up. Any giveaways?
No, what is a good camera?
What is a good camera? Oh, actually, I'll answer the giveaways. I'll quickly answer the giveaways now. For all of you that are regular viewers, as you know, I'm an Amazon affiliate associate for both the United Kingdom, United States, and Canada. Sorry, I flipped you the bird there, I do apologise. So it's really difficult for me to spend Canadian money, and it's also really difficult for me to spend American money because obviously I'm not in America. So this is something I've actually been thinking of, and I was going to run it by Kath, but probably now's as good a time as any. She's looking at me to say, what are you about to say, Dick? What I was planning on doing is come up to Christmas time and Thanksgiving and all that kind of stuff around the world. Well, more so for Canada and the US actually, where I can't spend the money. But the money that I've accumulated in my Amazon affiliates accounts, I was going to give away to subscribers because it seemed like the right thing to do, because you guys have been the ones that have helped me. I've get a lot of hits from Facebook and stuff like that, from other media outlets, but really you guys, the core kind of users, are the ones who have helped me do it, so it seems only right that I give you something back. So what I wanted to do is, closer to Christmas, if people give me a wish list, either on Discord or on the Facebook group or whatever it may be, what I'm going to try and do is to give away some goodies to our American and Canadian friends. So if you are in America or you're in Canada, then basically let me know what you'd like. And within reason, if I think I can do it, then I'll try and make it happen. I'll be like a Santa Claus, but slightly younger and slightly better looking. And without, well, actually there is getting some white stuff in my beard, so yeah, technically. But yeah, I wasn't sure whether to give away, maybe give away gift vouchers. Maybe that's a better thing to do, so people put their names all in a hat, and I'll draw some names out of a hat and give you gift vouchers. But you decide amongst yourselves actually. Let me know what you'd prefer. If you think that's a fair way, so you'll register or put your name on a list somewhere and I'll pull a name out of a hat and I'll give you the whole lot, or I'll give loads of little prizes. Let me know what you think, and I'll try and please everybody as best I can. So that is going to be my, well, hour from Mikesunboxing, me and Kath, our Christmas present to the subscribers. More so for US and Canada because I generate more income there. UK stuff, we'll sort something out for you guys. We'll probably do some giveaways, maybe some freebies, which would be easier for me to post, but we'll do something for the UK guys as well. But for the American and Canadians, people who live north of America, let me know what you'd like, or whether gift vouchers would be a good idea. Actually, I'll look in the comments now. What's the idea? And while I'm doing that, I'll quickly read some of the questions.
Alexa, what's a good camera?
Alexa, what is a good camera for making YouTube? Oh, hang on.
Yeah.
I've just scrolled too far. What is a good camera for making YouTube videos? I've been thinking of starting a bass introduction channel. Bass. Bass. It's a very, very difficult thing to say. Everyone's going to have their own opinion. Now, depending what you're primarily going to be trying to do with it, if you're doing an instructional video and you're doing it with, I guess it's a bass guitar. Yeah, must be, because you said you were in a band, I think I remember you saying. Is that right? Kathy did say he was in a band, didn't he? Okay, so yeah, if you're in a band, or if you're trying to do an instructional video, and if you're doing it as a one-man band, then ideally you want... I can't believe I just said that, as a band in a one-man band. Jesus. Kath, can I have a refill, please? Yeah, if you're doing it as a single operator camera thing, basically you want a camera with fantastic autofocus, and you want it to have as little buttons as possible, so you can just basically press record and forget about it. Now the thing is, with things like the Canon 70D, the Lumix G7, G80, G85, all those kind of cameras, there is a kind of auto feature, but it's not auto. The focus is pretty good and autofocus isn't bad, but if I move around too much, it just freaks the camera out and it doesn't know what the hell to do with itself. So I would say if you're doing that, and especially you're going to be doing lots of kind of like on your face or on a guitar, and you're going to be moving around like strumming a guitar, autofocus is going to be your maximum priority. So Canon, I'd say 70D if you can afford it. If not, the Sony AX33 the autofocus on that and the image stabilization is fantastic. So you can basically hold it and kind of move it around and it just stays completely stable. It is a really, really good camera. It was one of the reasons why I was gonna choose it over the Lumix, but at the time it was like almost double the price. And I am still kind of tempted now, but essentially, really, if you want to start getting into it, even an iPhone 6 or above, fantastic cameras on there. Start off with that, see how it goes, see what works for you.
We did it with your Moto.
Yeah, in fact, when we first started doing this channel, the first video we did, which if you look at the first video we ever did, the first few actually, if you look at the quality of them, they were just done in 1080p on my Motorola G4 mobile phone. So you don't really need to spend a load of money on a camera, and if you've got a relatively decent mobile phone, it's actually quite a good thing to do. And actually, Aletta, you haven't got a mobile phone, have you? So no. Yeah, if you're looking for a camera, it's a really difficult thing to do, depending again on your size as well. If you want close-up shots, you need either a lens which will go really wide, or something which does macro photography quite well. But again, it depends how much you want to spend as well.
Where's that for his wish list?
Sorry, yeah, is that going to be put in your wish list for Mikesunboxing's Christmas present? Please, dear Mike, can I have a Canon 70D or a Panasonic G7? Because I really want to start making videos so people will watch my stuff rather than your rubbish. Yeah, that's a great idea. We should definitely do that. Sorry, I'm going to have to answer some questions here, and I'll take another swig of the amber nectar. So Ninja47, so is the 7850 worth the money? I've seen the video, it was really good. Well, thank you for your comments, that's a really kind thing to say. 7850 actually is a surprisingly good card. Now, I'm going to be doing a video again on that coming up, specifically on that card only, and its ability to overclock, and whether or not it's actually worth overclocking. Because I managed to overclock it basically in MSI Afterburner, all the sliders right over to the right, full blast, and it overclocked like a dream. But it didn't really improve the frames per second. It just basically increased the heat. So I would say if you're going to get a 7850, get one super cheap, 25–30 pounds. It's a great little card, and it plays 2 Point Hospital on Calf's computer, absolutely fine. It plays Far Cry 5, absolutely fine. If you're looking for adding on to a system or just for a cheap gaming card, 7850, and again, like these 6600 Ti's, for 25–30 pounds a shot, you can't go wrong, you really can't. Next question. Welsh Tony's unboxing reviews and guides. Now the Sony FDR AX33 is currently £569. Now Tony, you can probably do this for me because I can't at the moment because I'm kind of a bit busy with the old live stream thing. But if you look on UK Hot Deals and do a search for AX33, there's a link in there to someone who's selling them on Amazon for £399, I think, at the moment. If you can just confirm that that is still on there, I think it is still on there. I hope it is, because I am still in two minds whether or not to get one. Paul Donaldson has just said he's seen an amazing deal, 100 GB SIM for £20 on 3. Is there going to be a mobile data war? Yes, is the easy answer. I have been looking into this massively recently because me, Kath, Angel and George all on mobile phones. Angel recently changed her SIM because the deal was coming to an end, etc, etc, long story. But yeah, massive amounts of data for not a lot of money. If you think probably a year ago, if you asked for a £20 a month contract, you'd be looking at probably 2 gigs, maybe 4 gigs, maybe 6 gigs at a push. But for 100 gigs for £20, that's insane. Although 3 are butt heads. I had a contract with them, and a lot of people have had. Trying to get out of a contract with them is so difficult. Trying to get your pack code if you want to move your phone to another supplier, absolute nightmare. And also billing as well. I can't remember, Kath, I think you might be able to help me out here. But didn't they carry on billing us for like months after? No, when I had the contract with the first 3GS. I'm sure they tried to bill us for a couple of months after. Basically, they just would not let go of you. And even when they did let go of you, they kept on phoning. It's like, Jesus, give me a break. But hopefully they changed. That was a long time ago. That was like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe more. Hey, that's good, bad reaction. I was chuffed this morning. I won a PUBG key from Green Man Gaming. Now, PUBG is something I've never got into. I kind of would like to. I've played a bit of Fortnite recently. What the hell is Fortnite all around? I just don't get it. The whole building thing. Just put me on a map, let me shoot people, or let me be shot by people is more accurately the case. But what's with all the building stuff? Just hide behind a tree, hide behind a bush, hide in a house. You have to build stuff, it's ridiculous. Welsh Tony, I've just been using my mobile phone camera and just use a good tripod amount. Yeah, actually Tony's videos, I've watched pretty much all of them, I think, or if not all of them, a lot of them. Tony's videos, actually, his camera on his phone is really good, and I quite often, I mentioned to Kath actually, that I'd like, what's Tony using for a camera? Because this stuff looks really crisp, and it focuses really well. And I think, have you using a Samsung S6? Do I remember you saying? But yeah, Tony's videos are really good. Check them out at the links up here if you're watching this as a replay, or if it's live, go to Welsh Tony 1 on YouTube. Check out his videos. The quality of the video is actually really good. Is what was it? There was an unboxing which was I looked at, and it was actually really crisp and really impressed me. I can't think off the top of my head, but there's loads of videos. Check them out. '80s horror fan. Kath better watch out if you start spraying stringy white stuff everywhere. That's how Spider-Man started with a bite. I was just thinking of something else to say then, but then I realised we do have some of our audience members who are slightly younger, and also those are family members, so I'm not even going to go there. But I was actually thinking that. I was in the shower, as you do, I was looking at it, and it's like, if only that spider was radioactive, that'd be amazing.
Is that why you wore your t-shirt yesterday?
And I actually wore my Iron Man t-shirt yesterday in the hope that I might wake up a superhero. Although technically Iron Man isn't a superhero because he's built his stuff. He's not actually got any genetically modified stuff to make him a superhero. He is basically a human inside of a machine, which makes him heroic. Anyway, I digress. Welsh Tony, I don't currently even have a phone. Well, maybe actually, oh God, where have I gone now? Sorry, I'm going back to the questions here. I saw a 1080p camcorder with an external mic on Amazon for 440. Is it worth getting one of those cheap camcorders? No. And going back to Aletto, if you don't have a phone, and you want to get into doing YouTube videos, now's the time to buy an iPhone. In all seriousness, an iPhone or a Samsung S6 or an S7, if you can get it, depending on what the price is. iPhone, if you get a, what's yours, Kath? 7. Get a 7, the video on it is fantastic. It'll do 4K. Autofocus is fantastic. So if you're looking for a phone anyway, and you want to get a camera, buy an iPhone or a Samsung S6 or S7. You've got the best of both worlds. You may not want all the features on it, but if you were to buy a phone on its own, I don't know, $50. If you're going to buy a camera, $100, $150, maybe $200, maybe whatever more. Buy an iPhone, $250, $300. You've got it all in one box.
You don't have to put a SIM in.
You don't even have to put a SIM card in if you don't want to. Just use it as a video camera or iPod. Bad reaction. What about your British friends? Yeah, hopefully I kind of addressed that. The British friends and viewers, etc. I will look after you. Giveaways are probably better for me for that thing, but again, I might just do some Amazon gift cards at Christmas. I'll probably do it for UK, US and Canada, just do everyone the same. What do you think? Gift cards? Amazon gift cards? Everyone uses Amazon, don't they, right? Discord link.
Doing it.
Okay, Kath's doing it now. There was a 721 for £40, but I don't think it'd be any good at that price. No, if you seriously with any camera, even if you get a, I've got my Motorola G4, you can pick those up now secondhand in the UK for about anywhere between £60 and £100, depending on how bad condition it's in. 1080p camera, takes really good pictures. It's actually a pretty decent phone. That by far is the easiest way of getting into YouTube, and also because the oh, what was I thinking? Yeah, because the camera's got a microphone port, you can quite easily plug in like one of these. I'm wearing the Boya mic, the Boya BM1. You can pick these up for about £10–15. So if you want to get some really crisp audio on there, these are fantastic actually. Of all the stuff that I've ever bought for the YouTube channel and that I've used on a regular basis, the Boya mic is by far the most impressive thing I've bought, and probably the cheapest as well, apart from probably the camera. The combination of the camera and this Boya mic has changed my videos, because the early videos I had a horrible microphone, or I was using a long distance microphone, and the sound is awful. If you want to have a kind of a video where it's engaging and people can hear you and it comes through clear, then this is totally the way to do it. Boya BM1, and it works with mobile phones and it works with cameras. 3.5mm jack plug. It does TRS for normal sort of cameras, and it does TRRS, which is what mobile phones use for like the different technology as you plug it in. So fantastic, and it's like 5 meters long, the cable. So if you're doing video shots outside or you're doing stuff from a distance, you can get 5 meters away from the camera and they can still hear you crystal clear. Anyway, I've probably gone on about that. So Boya BM1, buy one. The link will be in the description. Kath, mark it on the board. That is, oh, I don't know what our time it is. Discord link. Had a Guinness milk stout. Fantastic. If I won a Christmas giveaway, I would give the prize to local kids charity or something. Oh, that's very kind of you. The beer's working. Yeah, giveaway to charity. In Liverpool, we have to give a child a chance. A couple of tablets to a couple of kids would be amazing. Well, maybe actually saying that, do you think that would be a thing to do then? Do you think Mikesunboxing this year for Christmas could give a games console or a gaming PC to a local charity? Would that be a nice thing? Would you like to see that? Would that make an interesting video? And you can all give input of what components you want to put in the PC? Maybe something to think about? Ninja, are you doing SLI with those 660 Ti's? Yes, totally. SLI bridge. Now actually, I find that this is the first time I've ever done an SLI rig, believe it or not. All the years I've had computers, I've never done SLI because I've always thought, nah, that's crap. No point. Too expensive, too much heat. But, moving the beer. These two cards, £55, SLI bridge, and I can power these with the £30 power supply, which is my Cooler Master G750. It runs fine, and actually it does give the GTX 970 a run for its money, which is a £150 card here at the moment in the UK, whereas these 55 quid. For the sake of a little bit of heat and a little bit of extra power usage, saving £100 and getting very close performance. But anyway, you'll see more about that in the video. Dealers ended. It was the same link as the. Okay. Thanks, Tony. Thanks for that. Paul Donaldson sent me a super chat for £5. Thank you very much, Paul Donaldson. That's very kind of you. I feel very humbled. And funny enough, actually, me and Kath, we were doing some kind of video research the other day, and there's this odd guy who we believe is local, but we're not entirely sure because he's got a northern accent. But he basically comes online for an hour, or no, for about quarter of an hour, 20 minutes, and he gets thousands of people all asking him to call somebody a nonce. And they pay him like loads of money to do it. So like they'll do a super chat for like £15 and say, can you call XYZ a nonce? So he's like, well, thank you very much. such and such, you're a nonce. 15 quid better off. It's like, am I doing something wrong? And yeah, and we worked out, we actually had a calculator, and well, I say we, I told Kath to do it. I'm not going to do that myself, I'm not stupid. But I said, Kath, get a calculator and add it up. And every time a super chat come up, she was adding it up, and she missed quite a few of them. And it was like £200 worth of stuff in about a quarter of an hour, just for him to call some dudes a nonce. It's like, what the hell? But anyway, thank you, Paul. So Kath's put the Discord link in, so everybody get on the Discord. I don't know, with Discord, would you prefer it to be voice chat, or are you happy with just old-fashioned typing? Let me know, actually. Welsh Tony's thinking, if you can get a good camera for like a G7, then I may sell a cheap phone. Right, well actually, if you're looking at getting a cheap camera, which will do the same quality as the G7, now I have just the thing for you, which hopefully I can just negotiate to the back of me here, in my magic drawer. That was dangerous. Right, this is the Lumix G3 from Panasonic. Now this uses exactly the same lenses as the G7, so it's the Micro Four Thirds. Now this lens on here is the 14 to 42mm, which is removable, so you can change it over, so I could change the lenses over. Or if you want to, you get a wider fisheye lens, or you can get like a 100mm to 300mm lens. But this is, oh, that scares me putting it down. This also does 1080p. It doesn't do 4K like the G7 does, but realistically, most people when they're doing videos will do 1080p anyway, because it's by far the more usable content or usable style. So essentially that is the same as the G7. The G3 doesn't have a microphone input, which is a little bit of a disappointment, but it does have a really good microphone pickup on the top, or you can always record your audio on a separate device. No problem, you've got HDMI out, all that kind of stuff. But these you can pick up for about £100 in the UK. So if you just, because it's an older camera, people aren't really that interested in them, so they let them go cheaply. But with this, with the Micro Four Thirds, you can get an adapter like the Bez Choi, which I'll put a link to. Main video, okay. So you can basically use this in the same way as you would a G7 or a Canon 70D, but at a lot lower price. And also, if you're looking to get into photography or learning how to use things like ISO and white balance and all that sort of stuff, then this is a really good camera to do it, because you're not blowing the bank on like a £400 or £500 Lumix G7, but the G3 is a very, very close contender. And again, because it uses the same lenses, got the same apertures, etc., etc., you can see if it's going to work out well for what you're trying to do before you spend an absolute boatload of money. And these actually do hold their value. I paid 100, no, how much did I pay for this? It's about 100, 110, something like that. But I could quite easily sell this tomorrow for the same money, or take it to Jessup's or whatever, and you get roughly the same money. They don't devalue that much because they've got to the point where they've lost all their value. But people who know what they're after will still pay money for these because they are really good cameras. So definitely worth doing. I didn't do on there. So that is a really good option. Or alternatively, which Kath has just reminded me of, if you're after point and shoot, you don't want to mess around with apertures and lenses and all that kind of stuff. Actually, I'm just proving what a Lumix fanboy I am here. So this is the Panasonic Lumix, I think this is the FZ62. Yeah, FZ62. So this is a super zoom. So it's got a ridiculously long zoom lens. Now, if you look at some of my videos, there's one on there for the full moon. Now this thing has got like a 24 times power optical image stabilization. So I can get a close picture of the moon on this on a tripod, and you can see the craters and all that sort of stuff. You can get so close up to it. Again, 1080p recording. Really, it's a stills camera, but again, it's got an excellent microphone. You can't plug a separate mic in, and it doesn't have a flip out screen, so you can only tell what you're filming by actually looking through it or the viewfinder. But these you can pick up, again, 50, 60 pounds sometimes. I think I paid a little bit more, probably about 80 when I bought this. But it is a fantastic camera, and for a point and shoot with a really long lasting battery life, you can do a lot worse. So hopefully that's given you camera people something to think about. Well, I do like the Panasonic cameras. There's something about Panasonic, the way that their image processing works, that it just gives a really nice look to the picture, which I kind of like. Anyway, so moving on. Right, what other questions have we got? On the 7950, can you use Radeon Chill? I've got a... No, I don't think so. I think Radeon Chill is only for the newer architecture. I think I've missed out some things here, sorry. Glad I discovered really enjoy too. Friday night Mikesunboxing, chat rocks.
Wait a minute.
Oh yeah.
Deals ended.
The deals ended, yep, sorry. Friday night Mikesunboxing, chat rocks, beers, chats and laughs. Well, hopefully you're enjoying it, and hopefully we're all learning something. And the only thing I'm learning currently is I have a weaker bladder than I anticipated. Glad I discovered Mike and Mrs. Mike yesterday, yeah. Kath, come on, come round here and say hello. Do it, come on, peer pressure.
No.
I'll have the YouTube police round here. Mr. Churchill, you've been doing some very naughty things. You should do a oh, hang on, what's that? Giving a game console would be awesome to charity. Well, I've actually got a Nintendo Wii that I don't use anymore. I've got a Xbox One, which doesn't get used anymore. And what else have I got? I think that's it. Those two don't get used anymore, so I could give them to charity. That'd be a nice thing to do, wouldn't it? Welsh Tony, I eventually plan to do something for the place my son is currently staying in at hospital. That's really cute. Hopefully your other half, wife or whatever the phrase would be, and your son are doing well.
Maybe hop, skip and jump.
Mike, keep it up, and in Liverpool we have kids hospital called Alderhay. Any giveaways, they would be chuffed. I wonder if they'd like a Google Home, because I've got a Google Home I'm going to get rid of as well. You can imagine that, 30 or 40 kids all in the same room. Where are they? Liverpool. Hey Google, can I get some trainers and a tracksuit? That's a really bad accent, I do apologise.
That's a really bad stereotypical thing.
That was very stereotypical, and I apologise profoundly, profusely. All of those words. Tony has come back. The G3 is basically the same as the G7. Yeah, in 1080p, there's a lot of similarities between it. About £100 on eBay, yeah, that's right. Pulled on some. I bought a 120 quid. Cheaper alternative to GoPro. Do it. Don't be shy, Kath. A cruel joke, more like. Kidding. Great to see you. Southie, great to see you streaming. Kath, all kids will be crying because you won't say hi. Yeah, that's true. Mike, can you say trabs instead of trainers so you get it right? I remember that.
What's my mum call them?
How about daps?
No. What's my mum call them?
Plimsolls?
Crepes or something.
Crepes. Yeah, got me shiny new crepes on, innit? Anything is pool GoPro style are not really for main YouTube cameras. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Right, Kath, guys, I need to go and take a wee. So you're going to hang on for a couple of minutes while I go and have a wee, talk amongst yourselves? Because otherwise you're just going to have to end this because I've got to go.
This used to be like driving home.
Yeah, this is like when I drive home, or used to drive home. Right, I'm definitely going to go for a wee. Kath's going to come and take over for a minute.
No.
She says she's not, but she definitely is. Enjoy the interlude, I'll be back shortly. I can't believe I'm going for a wait on my live stream. I'll just going to sink this quickly.
Mm?
Are you getting on the camera?
No.
You want to go say that? We'll have to get a catheter installed. That'd be easier, wouldn't it? Super chat. Right, so I turn that off. Oh no, I left it on. Hello everybody. Oh, I sound like a very bad child's TV programme then. Hello everybody. Right then, so what have you lot been talking about? Hope he washes his hands. Yes, I did. We want Kath. Yeah, I know. She's yeah. Kath won't do it. I'm trying desperately to do it.
I was on the 360 camera.
Because eventually, as the channel progresses and we expand, hopefully, into a bigger or larger area to film in, I think it's going to be really boring with just me sat here. So I'm going to need a wingman or woman to be sat here. And I think if Kath gets the practice in now on these live streams, when it comes to doing the videos on a later date, then she'll be totally up to speed. What do you guys reckon? No pressure, Kath.
Paul's got an idea for you.
Ideal for a product. Mike's big nappies. I was just saying actually when I was going for a wee in the kitchen sink that it would be a really good idea to have a catheter installed for live streaming purposes. This is why we love Mikesunboxing, drinking laughs and visiting Larry Labs.
Leisure Suit Larry.
Leisure Suit Larry. Bring it between both of us, I will be the wingman. Oh, we should, what was I going to say? No, it's gone. There was something else we had to discuss on tonight's unboxing video that I haven't unboxed anything. Oh, that was it. I was gonna. I've gone through the list. Oh no, update on Kabini. Yes, I've done that. The tablet maker probably won't ever do that. Oh, I had an idea then and it's gone. It's like, you know when something crops into your mind and you look at something and it's just like, how can that possibly even happen? It's like, your brain isn't like RAM memory. It's not like someone's just pulled the plug and it's all gone. You have thought of it. It's in there somewhere. What was I thinking? No, oh, that was, no. Yes, that's what it was. Yes, it come back. That, my friends, is what they call total bloody recall. I'm like Arnold bleeding Schwarzenegger, I am. Right, my question was, I was gonna start doing DIY videos on car mechanics and that sort of stuff. Oil changes, filter changes, general maintenance. I'm totally unsure whether or not I should have it part of this channel or whether I should have another sub channel doing just car maintenance. What do you think? I've asked other people and I've had opinions, so I'm looking forward to your opinions. So I'm going to look in the comments and see what you think. Mike, can you confirm urine cleans dishes? No, but it does actually help.
Your hands softer than...
Yeah, it does make your hands very soft, and it's also very good for removing little bits of cat food that are stuck in the drain.
And you do need to do it in the garden for foxes.
Oh yeah. Actually, if anyone knows any way of getting rid of foxes in the garden, that'd be really great because they're ruining my garden. That'd be good on another channel. Letter, either way I'd watch, I do all my own car repair work. Fair enough. No, Mike, we want it builds and Raspberry Pi builds, okay? Personally, a separate channel. I actually have had a channel for something similar to the cars. Yes, because Tony, I believe, is either the founding member or a member of the Fast Fords or Fast Fiestas or Fast Focus or something like that. I briefly seen you mention something about it, I think. Dress up as a badger.
Not Star Trek.
Actually, there's more subs than my main one. Cool. As a mechanic to trade and having a passion for cars as well as tech, I'd watch it. I'm just getting into PIC 32 PCB design, steep learning curve. Now actually, bad reaction. That's an interesting one. Because my dad does that. He kind of makes his own custom like PCBs and stuff. Which actually I really should speak to him more often and find out what he's actually doing, because I haven't spoken to him for ages, but it's really fascinating because our family history is very much of a sort of scientific outlook.
Mad scientist.
Yeah, basically most of the men in my kind of dad's side of the family are mad scientists. Don't know where I get it from. If you're in the US, the best thing for foxes is a good 12 gauge shotgun. Yeah. Paul Donaldson. Mike, you're not drinking your own... I can't even pronounce that. In that glass. No, but there is a bloody... Look at that, there's just something lands in there. Get out. Son of a bitch.
What is it?
It's a bloody fly. Not having fly in my beer. Fetulence, what a bloody great word. That's protein. No, it's a fly, and I refuse to eat it on the grounds of it is not supposed to be in there. Manico5, good evening.
Get your dad to drop a line on Discord.
Hmm? Get him to drop me a line on Discord, your dad that is. I would definitely ask. So hang on, let's go back to that. Ooh, sorry, whistling's probably a bad idea. So PIC 32 PC... Calf, write that down somewhere. So I will... Oh God, losing my mind. Who is it who asked that? That was Bad Reaction, wasn't it? Get him to drop me a line. Okay, I think I'm not sure if it is PIC 32 PCB, but basically he's a mad scientist and he's got a 3D printer and he's really good with electrics. And he actually built the 3D printer himself out of parts. So he's like kind of... And my granddad actually built and designed one of the very first home security alarm systems that were in the UK. And it was like the Ideal Home exhibition and stuff like that. And I'm not sure if I can say this out loud, but
No.
Kath's like, no! Basically, a long time ago, there was a company called Robinsons, and they had a famous character that was part of their kind of their marketing thing. Now, I can't say what it was called because it's not politically correct anymore. It was okay back then, but, well, it wasn't really okay then, but it was different then. But essentially, there was this kind of character that had hair, and they didn't know how to get the hair to stick to the badges that they made that you'd get as special offers. And he designed a electrostatic glue which made the hair stand up on these badges they used to sell. He's crazy, crazy inventor, but it's awesome. Oh, my internet's died, I think. Lost the stream. That's a lovely still right there. Mike, any ideas on streaming? Yeah, don't do what I do. It's gone. YouTube is not receiving enough video. Oh crap, I pressed the wrong button. Has that gone to sleep? No, it's in the red. Oh. Right, so there's going to be some buffering. Let me try and sort it out. Oh god, it's dropping loads of frames.
Just seems now. Back my fuzzy, then off again. What's George doing?
Don't know.
That make a difference?
Possibly. I've just restarted it. I think it's the internet.
Yeah, anyway, advert's gone. Slipper.
It says the stream is recovering.
We were back.
Have Mike's power started to man? Yeah, it's the bloody spider bite. Are we looking? Is it buffering? Yeah, it looks like there's quite a delay. There's a massive delay.
You described the black boy.
very low connection speed here.
Well, how does it sound for you?